Listening to the Hometown Losers, the St. Louis Sports Podcast, with Josh, Adam, and OJ.
Hey everybody, welcome back here to the Hometown Losers Podcast. This is session number 61, and I'm joined as always by my co-hosts and OJ and Adam. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back. It's been a minute. We've had a lot of holidays. They all fell like on the same day that we normally do podcasts, but at least they were a good time. And we got a new year. So all is good. How's it going for you, OJ?
Oh, also great. I mean, I didn't have to miss any work because I can work from home when it snows. So,
Yeah.
I didn't mind the snow
Touche.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than
Because it's
the driveway and stuff. But.
Yeah. As Adam just alluded to, it's been a minute since our last podcast. We've had Christmas and New Year's since then, and Snowmageddon. With over cumulative, I think it was
and Ice-mageddon down south where I'm at.
Yeah, from where you're at, yeah. Like up here, we just got a lot of snow. I don't know about you, OJ. Where you at? Was it more snow? I'm assuming than ice.
Yeah, we had more snow than ice up north here. So
Yeah,
down
because I'm about to say we had a
St. Louis area. I saw us a lot.
Yeah, accumulation of about 15 inches in like a week, which was pretty insane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially
you want to talk the second one?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
Like 18 inches up here.
Yeah. And because the first one we had 11 inches. Because like my girlfriend and I were measuring using the ruler or whatever.
Mm.
And then just like the second one came in and I'm like, it's probably not going to be bad. Holy shit. God damn it. I'm tired of doing this on my driveway, man. So like, at least I didn't have to bail her car out. But anyways, there's congratulations to be given out here on the podcast. Adam is no longer single. He's married now. Congrats, buddy.
Yeah. Did that too. I did that thing too. Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations.
There's been a lot of news, non-sports related news. Snowmageddon, getting married, holidays. Hell. There's a lot of stuff going on, man. Life has been busy.
Life has been busy. So I also want to take this time to tell the listeners to make sure to get your pets checked up by the vets once a year. I got unfortunate news is my boy Gretzky has cancer. So it's not been great. He's lost a lot of weight. He's still a good boy, but it's definitely been hard in my household because of that's for sure. So to the listeners, make sure to take care of your pets and get them checked up as much as you can. So it's brutal.
I'm actually going to be doing that. In fact, next week, one of my dogs is going for surgery to have a mass removed. So
yeah,
there you go.
One of mine had one of those fatty tumors. So luckily,
that's what I'm having taken out next week. So
yeah. This is just on his side, so we're just leaving it. They're like, it's not really a problem, but
as long as it doesn't grow
or something.
Exactly.
Or if it starts growing, then
yeah. Because that's I brought him in. He just wasn't eating, and like kind of lethargic, but like you had a little bit of shaking. Yeah, and especially for Gretzky, because Gretzky like always just devours his food.
Oh yeah.
And I brought him in. They're like, oh yeah, like he weighs 60 pounds. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He weighs like 50. Well, I brought him in. They're like, yeah, he's got some masses there. And then they try to tell me that like it was because maybe the didn't get neutered incorrect or got neutered incorrectly. And that he still had his testicles like up inside him or whatever. And I'm like, that's definitely not it. And they're like, well, then it's real bad. I'm like, great. And so I was hoping it was going to be one of those benign tumors. It definitely was not. But it has about 12 pounds worth of tumor on a 50-pound dog. So it's like, Jesus.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. And the crazy thing about it is like, I mean, he's had some episodes and stuff like that of like shaking and some like weird stuff. Just recently it was kind of bad. I thought that was it kind of thing. I had to bring him to the vet. He was fine. He just he's got these like calcium overloads that happen from the tumor because they're calcium buildups. And so it causes like a lot of issues and stuff like that. But the doctor was even surprised. They're like, I can't believe like with his calcium levels being as high and as far progressed as this cancer is, that he is like still in decent like health other than that. You know what I mean? His kidneys like are fine, his liver's fine, his heart is like amazing. And it's just like it's crazy, but he's a good boy. But anyways,
Yes.
we'll get off of that subject. I just want to like it's important. I'm trying to like I'm like going to like every media.
You're the advocate now.
Yeah, exactly. Like every
Take care of your damn
I have,
pets.
it's just like make sure to get it checked.
You sound like the Bob Barker out there. I guess now the Drew Carey. Have your pet spayed or neutered or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, Adam, congratulations on getting married, whatever. Josh, tell me more about the health of your animals.
It's like good news,
Yeah.
bad news, the end of the world. I don't know. Everything's just a mess. So
Yeah,
needless
it's like
to say, we're an emotional wreck, good and bad
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Like I didn't mean to like dump it like that. But thanks for that, OJ. But it was
Well, I was
more
gonna
for the
say-
fact that like it's just a PSA.
No, I just thought it was funny we spent more time talking about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like
Obviously, very important all the same. It's a little, maybe it's because it's a negative thing. It's easier to focus in on sometimes. I don't know. But yeah, I hope your dog recovers fully or goes into remission or whatever they call it.
Yeah, we got an appointment on the 31st to talk to an oncologist about it. Surgery doesn't seem like it's going to be, because that was the first option. Surgery doesn't seem like it's going to be something that we can do, because he will have to do chemo regardless. And to do it, they would have to break his pelvis. And so he would be cage
You mean
ridden
surgery, not chemo.
no, he would have to do chemo after surgery regardless.
Oh yeah. I thought you meant you had to do, like break the pelvis to do chemo. I was like, what?
No.
Maybe I
To
misheard
do
you.
surgery, yeah. And then, but they would have to break his pelvis, to do the surgery, and would be cage ridden for 3 months. And so, like, my girlfriend Kristen was like, brought it up, and she's just like, do we make him way worse in the hopes that he gets a little bit better for a shorter period of time, or do we just try to let him live his life in the best way possible? And it's like, yeah, let's do that. So.
There we go.
Yeah.
Not to mention the expense. It's fucking crazy. It was
I can imagine.
$8,000, for the surgery. And so we don't know what chemo is. And now it sounds like the chemo, if he is a candidate for it and they think it's going to work and stuff like that, it's not going to be as expensive, but it's still going to be a pretty penny. But we'll see how it goes, right?
Nothing's ever cheap.
I'd be like, hey, if they could do it that cheap on a dog, why can't we do it that cheap on a human? Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it's expensive on a dog, but like compared to if it was you.
Yeah. So, well, and so I did a little bit more research about that, OJ, because I was kind of curious about that too, because like my uncle Jim passed away from cancer and stuff like that. I know that stuff's really expensive. So some of that stuff can be chalked up to the fact that like my dog's 50 pounds compared to a 200-pound man. And so there's less drug that is needed, you know what I mean, to like circulate through the body and stuff like that. So, which somewhat makes sense. They're also like built different, so like you don't have to worry about necessarily certain other things that you would have to worry about with human beings, I guess. I don't know. So
Vets also probably get paid a lot less than a normal doctor too, or surgeon.
yeah, and probably, you know what I mean. So.
And there's probably a whole hell of a lot less liability you have to worry about.
Yep.
Too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because some of that it's like almost like homeowners. So got to get the insurance. You know what I mean? Covered. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's expensive.
So, but all right, let's get to some sports talk here before I start crying. Let's get.
I was going to say we can still cry during sports talk too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to, I guess, when we're talking about the Blues, the beloved Blues, not necessarily
we got
doing
the
great.
Blues. We got the Blues.
Got the Blues. Although we're not like it's not. We're not, but we're just not where we thought we were going to be. So, quick update before we get to our thoughts here on the season so far. Blues are now 21-20, 21-20-4. That is 9-8-2 since our last session. Which is crazy. It's almost 20 games since our last session. But we are
Well, that's
fifth
pretty
in the
much the new
Central.
tenure, over Montgomery damn near. So there you go.
Right. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Yeah. So fifth in the Central, which is on par for where we are at last session. But we are 17 points behind Winnipeg now, which is 5 more than what we were last time. And we weren't chasing Winnipeg, but we were chasing somebody. We are still 10th in the West compared to last session. But again, we are now quite a bit further behind, still chasing 17 points on Winnipeg. We are, I believe, is my notes decided to go away. We are 20th in the NHL, which is one worse than last session. We are 3 points out of the last wild card spot and moved down two spots, as I should say. We're 3 points behind Calgary there. Yeah, so like the season with Montgomery has been more of like a 500 season so far. Adam, I'm going to start with you here. What's your thoughts and your take so far on the season?
So yeah, the Blues have definitely, been inconsistent as we have been. We've get these alternating between like impressive victories and then we have these challenging losses. This overall 500 record definitely reflects that variability overall, I would say, in that performance because, it's literally 50-50. Offensively, I would say Thomas and Kyrou have definitely been pivotal to our offense efforts. They've definitely been contributing there. We had a couple, a few high scoring games. We had that 6-2 win against the Ducks. That was nice to see some offensive explosiveness for sure. But our defense continues to struggle, certainly in certain matchups, and I feel like Bennington is still overall delivering a strong performance. But I think that our
agree with that.
Well, I think he's overall. I'm looking at the season overall.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I no, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. There's a lot of people that are trying to run him out of town right now. There's like one guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
But no, I was just saying, like, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, season overall. If I look at the overall season, I would say he's been pretty strong. Otherwise, it's that our defense consistently tends to let us down. That's been a running story in this town for a while now with the Blues.
Yeah.
Yes, it's easy to scapegoat, the guy in net for sure. But he can't stop everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the other part, well, go ahead. I'd like to hear what you had to say before I go to my last.
Yeah. So there's a guy in my softball group he hates Bennington. Hates him. And he believes that Hofer should be our goalie full time. And it's like, I don't understand why. Like, there are times, like, even the games we lose, Bennington has like highlight reel type goals sometimes. And I get it. Like, you take a look at where he is at statistically, right? And like, I'm actually trying to pull up his stats right now. Yeah, Binnington is 900 on save percentage, right? So that doesn't sound great. That's 25th out of qualifying goalies. And you take a look at Hofer, and Hofer is 25th, and then Jordan Binnington's 32. Sorry. But Hofer is only 902. But there's an interesting like tidbit that got sent out by the NHL Network. The league average save percentage in the last 10 years in 2015-2016 season was 915. In 2024 2025 this season it's 901, and that's the average. Yeah, and so like he's right there with average.
It's even average.
Yeah, and it's been steadily going down, and everyone's like consistently looks at like 900 going, oh, that's not good. They need to be up towards like 950, or 950, excuse me, like 930 and stuff like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there. What they're saying is that where they feel like that's like the before they drop off, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like, listen, we're all not going to be Connor Hellebuyck, who's got 6 damn shutouts and he's 929 on his save percentage. But Connor Hellebuyck also has a phenomenal fucking defense in front of him this year.
Yeah.
And you
That
take a
helps a
look at
lot,
the
doesn't it?
shots against, yeah, 110%. So like he is first and foremost, they're riding him because there's like his backup hasn't even really played. He's faced 900. I'm just putting this out there, right? He's faced 980 shots, and let's see, he's played in 35 games. Jordan Bennington has played in 32 games. Yeah, 32 games, 856 shots against. So there's a, like, yeah, like he's faced more shots, but he's also got like 3 more games that he's played in that time frame. So I just, again, I get it. Connor Hellebuyck has been phenomenal this year,
Well, of course,
but
but it's
yeah, go ahead.
hard for me to put him on that, in that caliber or in that same class right now as well. But to say that that's where our struggle is definitely not at all where we need to be pointing fingers at. If we were going to be saying where do we need to improve per se, it's not a net. It's
Yeah,
what's in front of the net. You know what I mean?
I would agree on that one because I mean, Bennington can definitely do it for you. You just gonna have to help him out.
Exactly right. And
Yeah,
that's where the overall outlook, I would say, if we want, and the other part too, before I get to that, is really about special teams and their performance, of course. And that's something I think that we rehash every time we have these conversations. I think
hmm
that there's not much to be said there. It's lackluster. Our defensive play, lackluster. So really, if we want to have and actually secure a playoffs position, not like just hopefully look into it because we get into one of those lucky streaks that we're doing it a-okay. We need to really focus on and fine tune that consistency once again, and that's in
yeah.
our defensive play and special teams execution. Those are critical. Getting it through the second half of the season.
Yeah, and before we go to OJ here, Adam, you definitely tapped on like several of the things that I had written down to discuss. It's just the inconsistencies,
Yep.
right? So like there are
That's the
times where
reason
we
why we're a
come out,
500 team. That's
yeah,
literally the definition of why we're a 500 team is because the
and
fact is,
literally what I have written down, like
yep,
almost word for word, because it's the inconsistencies that we have on the offensive side. There's times where we look like we're world beaters, and then there's
yep,
other times where we just don't seem to have like the fire or the grit to be able to come out against some of these other opponents, especially weaker ones, or teams that I feel that we should be able to beat, relatively easy. Um,
agreed.
I don't think it's necessarily personnel, but like there are times again where you just feel like we're missing that like bona fide. So we're missing like a Vladimir Tarasenko, like a bona fide goal scorer, right?
Hmm.
And then mixed in with some, good players, like a Ryan O'Reilly and stuff like that. That's not necessarily good. It's a good two-way player. It's a complete player, right? Now,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
I mean,
I
we've
just
had some decently, like we've had some goal scoring. We've had a few games, in the past couple months or whatever, where we've definitely put up high scoring games for sure. You know,
yeah, of course.
but once again, the consistency is the kicker. But it feels like we
Yeah.
we can definitely get out there and put up some high scoring games. You know what I mean? Um, there's no doubt about it. It's not like
Yeah, but
these
when
are
you're having to
like
try to go out
we're
and
winning
score
or
six
losing by like
goals,
2-1 or whatever. We've had several games where it's been like we put up 4+ goals on on a fairly regular basis. You know,
yeah. But again, that's the problem when you're letting in 3, 4 goals every night because your defense
and
not,
that's
helping
exactly right.
out.
That's why my focus wasn't necessarily so much on the offense, but it was more on our defense because the fact is,
Yeah.
if we can fairly like the average, I haven't done the math, but if I look at the overall, I'm looking at the past couple months worth of games, and I'm looking at a lot of fours plus games here, several of them, whether win or loss. There's a lot of them out there, you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that's why I feel like defensively we're struggling because the fact is they're high scoring the other way too.
Mhm.
Our offense is putting the puck at the back of the net of our opponent, but the fact is that our defense isn't keeping it away from our net though, unfortunately. So
Yeah. So let's go to OJ. OJ, what's your takes here? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, my main takeaway is two numbers. That is 432 and 568. The 432 being the points percentage under Bannister, and the 568 being the points percentage under Montgomery. Let's see. What is that? 22. Yes, under the same amount of games, I might add. So now, a lot of that with Bannister had Robert Thomas missing, or
Yeah,
Broberg for a decent bit of it too. So you can't just bang on Bannister.
Discount it, right? Yeah, exactly.
But in my opinion, their team game is really improved since Montgomery took over, and it's improving constantly. I think the Fowler acquisition was great because now
I agree with that.
It's they got a legitimate top pairing now, which is awesome. Dylan Holloway's looking like a future star or a current star, I guess. Basically things are really trending up for the Blues, in my opinion. Now they dug themselves a hole early, and that's really the question for me: is can they win games fast enough? Because what I say was 568. That's a decent points percentage. It's good. If it was over the course of a season, I think you probably get in the playoffs. But it's not incredible. It's not world beaters like you guys were saying, and some of that's due to inconsistency. And I actually do put it on the goaltending more than anything else recently. Binnington and Hofer started out the season great, but they've dropped a couple games, 2 or 3 games probably here recently, where it's the goalie kind of cost you it. Season totals, Jordan Binnington, these advanced stats, they're far from the gospel truth,
right,
especially in hockey. But if you want to know, the goals saved above expected for Binnington is 3.3. So he's been positive on the year, but not world beater. Obviously, he hasn't been as good as he was last year. And Hofer has been minus 6.1. So that does support the idea that it wouldn't be smart to have him be the starter.
Correct.
But yeah, so honestly, I think they have 4 more points probably, at least, if they just got better goaltending on a couple games where both goalies have had games where they just seemed like they just weren't on. They just didn't have it that night.
Yep.
And
I would agree with that more recently.
Yeah, so that in my
whereas
opinion,
my view was originally was more overall season wise, but yes, you're absolutely right though. Recently, I would definitely say that we need some improvements there. We're starting to see some we're slipping.
Well, yeah, and my thing is I want to see how they can keep improving. They got another game against Calgary, is it back to back for some reason, but that's fine. That's going to be a good chance to see because that's who you're chasing in the wild card race.
Yeah,
so, and they know
you're
that
3 points behind them.
Yeah, and they know that too. So it's going to be interesting to see. They're going to come out strong probably. So that'll be a big game to see where the Blues are at. But I think they've been playing overall, the skaters have been playing pretty well for the most part. So I'm pretty happy with their direction, honestly. It's one of those things where you add Dvorsky late this year, potentially if they're not in a playoff chase. And or Snuggerud, they come up, get a little bit of a taste, and then maybe they start next season in the NHL, and that gives you a little bit of a better forward group. Then you can start looking pretty dangerous if those guys pan out, if they can realize the potential they've got that they've shown to have. So
yeah, because that's the bigger thing too, right? Is when do you try to start bringing some of those guys in? And I got a lot of people around me that are just oh, they need to bring him now. I'm like, dude, no, it's just like baseball where you can legitimately bring a guy in too quick and destroy his confidence. And
absolutely.
That's a legitimate thing. So you cannot rush the process here. And it's also too, you're gonna rush him to and potentially ruin him and ruin his career, so to speak, or ruin his career in St. Louis because he potentially can go somewhere else and be a star, right? But you ruin that opportunity for him to be something here in St. Louis for what? To make it in as a wild card? You know what I mean? So especially when you're not that far off. If you were chasing or something like that, okay, maybe see what the kid's got. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially if you were hurting with injuries and stuff like that. Throw him in the fire and just be hey, listen, no expectations, just go out there and have fun. Cool. Be done with it. But these are grown ass men that you're going up against. You know what I mean? So
well,
learn that.
You could see it if it was a team with a bunch of that was a really good team, where they have maybe an injury or something. Then you go ahead and have a few games and see what the NHL is like, and have a lot of like guys they can lean on, so they don't have to put a bunch of it on them. If they brought Dvorsky up, they'd be like, "We really need you to play center on one of our middle two lines, please." Like, he's not going to.
No pressure, but go fucking score goals.
Yeah. But the thing is, he is playing in the AHL. He started there this year as a 19-year-old, and he's been tearing it up. So he could be ready soon. That's what makes me excited about him, is he could be getting up to the NHL when he's like 20, 21 legitimately, which that's usually a pretty good sign if you're up that early, especially when they're not going to put him in a fourth line role. I don't think he's the kind of guy they would want to throw out on the fourth line to like start out.
Yeah, exactly. He would at least skip out and be in the third, right? Where the situational like line. Because your fourth line obviously is typically, this isn't like, it's not like what you do in like when you're like building a team in NHL where you're just trying to grab the best players available, and you're just like, that's going to be your fourth line. It doesn't matter if you're like all-stars or not. Like if you have your, better centers and better wingers in front of them, it's not like that, right? The fourth line is typically, for hard grind and stuff like that, physicality, or game plan too. Like if you need situational, like if one center is really good at like defensive face-offs from the right side and the goalie's weak on the left side, that would give you the advantage. So you would roll them out in offensive zone sets and stuff like that, right? To obviously give yourself a better chance to look at net, so that way you can get more offensive also offensive rotation and like offensive possession. That's what I was looking for. Right. So like, a fourth line though in the NHL is not going to give you that, especially for a young kid trying to develop. You put them on the third line and let them develop from there, eventually moving your way up to the second line and then moving up your way to the first line. Almost kind of like a Jaden Schwartz, if you remember that in his development too, when he made the NHL.
Anybody you see playing like more of a skill role for you, you don't start him out on your fourth line because it's not good for it doesn't help them develop,
Sure, 100%, OJ. I use Jaden Schwartz as an example because like he did 2 years on the third line and then it's actually like 3 or 4 years on the second line, then jumped up to the top line. That's when what's his name? That was the STL line because it was Tarasenko, and then Tarasenko's buddy was the center, and then you had Jaden Schwartz.
Yuri Laterra.
Laterra, that's right.
The cocaine dealer.
Cocaine dealer. Yeah. And so it's so funny. So this is hilarious, right? So when it was before I was working for the Blues when Laterra was like he was gone at that point in time, right? But when I was like starting to like know some of the people within like the organization being around and stuff like that. It's not like I was in the front office or anything like that, but like I got to know some of the people that like work the equipment and like people that work at Enterprise and stuff like that. Laterra's nickname in the locker room, I am not joking with you, was Scarface. Swear to God. It's funny as hell that all that shit came down.
They all knew what he was doing.
They all knew then that point in time. Why else would you nickname him Scarface? It's like that's hilarious. Jeez. So damn funny, like on the nose about it. But or on the literally under the nose about it, as I should say.
Yeah, under the nose.
But yeah, so like Jaden Schwartz to me was a very natural progression of like how you developed a good player and stuff like that. Tarasenko I thought was like just using the compare and contrast, right? Tarasenko was a guy that they brought in and he was on the third line to start. Then like within the first season he was on the second line and then jumped up to the first line. He rotated with first and second line as they were shuffling lines and stuff like that, especially towards whatchamacallit, like towards the Stanley Cup run and a couple of that, even with like Hitchcock really liked him in the second line role because they gave us more scoring depth and stuff like that, but it would roll him up there if obviously you need more goal scoring and stuff like that because he was just a natural like born goal scorer, you know what I mean? So it just depends on like how they develop it, but again, this is how you need to be able to develop. So there's patience that is needed here, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
back to your original point. Sorry to get off the tangent there.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I was just saying they ought to call him up when he's ready, but I think that will be soon. And Snuggerud, I don't know if they're going to put him in the AHL first. I would imagine so. I don't know how many guys go from the NCAA straight to the NHL.
It's a lot more now than you think. Than you would be.
He's a junior too, so it's not like he's super young.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens more often now than what it used to, but again, it comes down to that, like, is he ready to? And the thing about it is NCAA hockey in general. Like, I used to watch NCAA hockey a lot, and you can tell it's college hockey, right? Because you have your bona fide stars that are just flying all over the place, and then you have these players that are clearly like walk-ons. They're really good. Like, they were really good in high school, but they're just not that great in college. You can tell.
It's like the Rocket League Smurfs.
Yeah, 110%. That's what it feels like, right? But now I started watching some hockey just recently because like it's been really hard to like watch the Blues consistently. And I feel like, as Adam definitely knows, I'm very superstitious. I feel like every time I watch the Blues, they lose. So I tried to not watch them this year. But I have to watch hockey. It's a part of who I am, right? So I've been watching a lot of college hockey. I'm like, holy shit, these guys can fucking play now. Like, it's crazy. Like the level, it's jumped up in 10 years. It's nuts.
I guarantee you. Yeah, you remember how many kids there were? Like, hockey was a big thing in high school for us in Missouri. Like,
clearly, I mean, like, that's the other thing. It's very underrated here, and that's what pisses me off. Is like hockey is huge in St. Louis. Period. I mean, played it my entire life, right? So like, it is so important here. But everyone knows us as a soccer town or a baseball town here. Like, they play hockey. It's crazy.
I mean, St. Louis is a great sports town, but it's a hotbed for hockey talent. It really is. A lot of NHLers from the St. Louis area.
Yeah, that is true.
And I mean,
true. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, there are a few of them, like Tkachuk, for example. You know, like, Tkachuk played at Chaminade for like what, 1 year. Like, and then started playing juniors. So like, he wasn't there all 4 years. Patty, you know, we're not going to talk about
Maroon, Patty. Three-time Stanley Cup champion, Pat
motherfucker.
Vitale and all those guys.
Dude, motherfucker's playing for Chicago now. I did not know Patty
I know.
Played for Chicago.
If I was in his shoes, I would have definitely said no. Like, you made enough money.
Like, that's just traitorous right there.
I'm sitting there watching. I'm watching the game, and I'm like preparing. And I haven't watched the Blackhawks. I haven't been paying attention to them and stuff because, again, as I told you, I've been trying to stay away from the NHL. And because, like, again, I feel like I'm cursing the Blues. But I did watch the Winter Classic. I was sitting there, like, I was at my mom's house, and my girlfriend's over there. I'm cooking us some food, and all of a sudden I look up, and she's interviewing Patty Maroon in a fucking Blackhawk sweater, and I'm like, you can no longer call yourself a hometown hero, you motherfucker. How dare you do that to St. Louis? How dare you?
I can understand it if you're like a lesser prospect, if you're like a lesser guy and that's your only shot to make it into the league. I can see it. But like at the tail end of your career, when you've made a bunch of money already, and I'm not saying, oh, you got enough money, but like, you got enough money to where you can tell the Blackhawks to go fuck themselves. You know what I mean?
Like come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, you already put
Jesus.
No kidding. I mean, he's already won his 3 rings. His career is he's got his legacy. You know, he's going to be on the cup for a long time.
Well, he definitely ruined some of his legacy, at least in my my book. Like, I told this to Kristen, and she did not believe, or not that she didn't believe me, but she's just like, really, you would do that? Like, so this was when, 2014, I think, when it was the year that we went to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the San Jose Sharks, right, in the playoffs. But the second, or was it the first round? It was the first round because we beat the Dallas Stars, I think, in the second round. No, I can't remember. But it was the first. It was the first round we played the Blackhawks, and that was the Game 7 when Troy Brouwer scored the game-winning goal, right? Like halfway through the second, and I was working that game, and God, that was awesome. But so part of the pregame routine was, you know, you have this guy come out and, you know, the opposite team sweater. He would come out to middle ice and like they would project on the ice would start cracking and stuff like that. And then like he gets trapped and then they would put down the little fog machine and stuff like going down. You would freeze him or whatever. They asked me to do it. And I'm like, yeah, not a problem or whatever. What do you need me to wear? Because they didn't tell me what I was wearing. They handed me a Blackhawk sweater. I didn't even touch it. I said, nope, I won't do it. they're like, really? And I'm like, I refuse to put that on. I refuse to touch it. Like, they're like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, sorry, won't do it.
I was gonna say you can't ask the most superstitious guy in the room to be able to do that.
I'm fucking not doing it. Like, not doing it at all. Refuse to touch it.
I would do the same thing. That's not. It's not worth it.
I remember. And
hey, Mike Todd just could not deal with it.
You know, another one that was painful to watch a long time ago was old Jimmy Baseball. Whenever he went to the Cubs.
See, I don't mind that as much because like it was just.
It was the end of his career, but you know.
Yeah. Really, it's the same thing with Pat Maroon. He's just at the end of his career trying to get another paycheck from a shitty team that's not going anywhere.
It just sucks.
The thing about it is, like, but Jim Emmons is not from St. Louis.
That's true. He's from California.
True.
You see what I'm saying? So like,
so he's not. I see your point. So he's not. He doesn't have to be loyal per se to St. Louis because he's California.
Yeah,
it's because he's St. Louis. Yeah, he should hate the Blackhawks as much as us.
Yeah, I see your point. Because he has it in his DNA, is what your point is. Exactly. Where Jimmy Baseball doesn't necessarily. He grew up in California.
It's like, I mean, it's like going to the University of Michigan and then all of a sudden going to like Ohio State for grad school or something like that, right? Like that shit just doesn't. It's like
what people think that.
Oh, I mean, people have done it. People have done, so it's actually really funny. So, and I can't remember. I think it was in the 70s. It was either in the 70s or 80s. But I was reading something about a coach that he played at Ohio State and then went to Michigan to coach. And he started off as like, you know, like a running back coach or whatever. And no one really like knew until he became like the coordinator. And then he started getting more like press about it. And they're like, holy shit, like you went to Ohio State and you're coaching for Michigan. He's like, yeah, what about it? And they literally ran him out of town. He fucking literally ran his ass out of town. And I think he went to like Oklahoma State or whatever. But I'm just like, Jesus Christ, calm down.
Imagine this though. Imagine a situation. I'm just thinking theoretically out loud though. Imagine you're on a team, right? Say for example, it's 2019 all over again, and Pat Maroon is actually on the Bruins at the time. Okay.
Fuck that.
Man, how hard would that be? Here is the opportunity to see your hometown finally, you know, get a cup, and yet you're fighting against them for your own personal ambition at that point. Man, that would be tough.
Bro,
that would be rough, dude.
Like, yeah, but even still, what about David Backes? Remember that? Like,
yeah,
literally, you had the captain of our team for fucking years that was trying so hard to get that cup, and he's on the other side. I felt so bad for David Backes.
That's very
because
true.
TJ Oshie, that entire group, that entire like core group, end up winning a fucking cup. Patrick Berglund won a goddamn cup. Like, really?
They all went
like
on.
Everyone besides David Backes got a fucking cup, and he was our captain.
Yeah,
like, I felt so bad for Backes.
What team was Berglund on when he won the cup?
He was with Pittsburgh. He was like part of their like up and down squad. Yeah,
I didn't know he ever went to them.
Yeah, you remember their back end. Or no, I'm sorry. When they went back to back, that was actually when they beat the Sharks. If I remember correctly, it was the second time.
It was him because I thought he left. Remember, so we traded him to Buffalo, and then as part of the Ryan O'Reilly deal, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And then I thought he just left Buffalo because of some mental stuff and went away. I thought that was the last people ever heard of him. Did he come back at some point?
He definitely like he left and then signed like a free agent contract, but it was like a 2-way contract, is what he signed. From my understanding, at least. But that's what I remember.
Berglund and not like Ian Cole or somebody that you're thinking of, because I know.
No. Ian. Ian. I'll actually look it up real quick. But I'm pretty certain that I saw this.
We gotta figure this out.
Right, because now it's gonna bug me. All right, here, hold on. Wikipedia. Oh, he did not win a cup. So no. Okay, I was. Hold on one second. First round of 2018. Oh, okay. No. That's my bad. He won a championship in Sweden, like with the SHL out there.
Same thing.
Oh, okay. So he went.
Okay.
He plays hockey over in
Mm.
Sweden now. Okay.
Yeah, or he did. So like when he
Okay.
left the Sabres, ironically he did in it's not really ironically, but he did in 1920 after he left the Sabres. Yeah, okay. So and that's my bad, but I swear to God, I thought it was the Pittsburgh Penguins is what I thought I saw, but maybe again, I don't know.
Oh well.
Again, it was like something I saw in like passing, but regardless, like I fuck Patrick Berglund, even though he was literally born on June 2nd, my birthday. Fuck Patrick Berglund. Like I felt bad for David Backes. You know what I mean? Like that was a guy that like he wore the note very proudly on his chest and did a really good job of carrying the C.
Yeah, I agree. But he chose to sign and get Boston, so
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, well.
I
Anyways,
mean,
So moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on here. Let's talk about our next topic, which is it's probably going to be pretty short here. Should the Blues be buyers at the trade deadline? Should they be sellers? OJ, I want to start with you here. Like, what's your thoughts on the trade deadline for the Blues? Like, do you think they should try to like go get somebody? Like, what's your thought process here?
So it depends who the somebody is. The kind of player I'd be targeting would be one that actually meaningfully helps your team going forward and is in the age range that Doug Armstrong mentioned before, like what do you say, like 23 to 27-year-olds or something like that.
Yeah,
you can find a guy, but again, I don't think there's really a trade out there like that. So in my opinion, they shouldn't. I don't think they should be selling dudes off just to try to collect assets either, though, unless they can get something crazy good, But don't just trade them just to trade them.
Yeah, I really feel like, and that's why I said this is probably going to be a real quick segment because, like, I wanted to touch on the trade deadline, but what can we do? We don't know what this team is at this point in time. Being 500, there's not necessarily like a straight up trade that you see out there or a trade rumor or anything that is like collectively putting us together. Adam, it sounds like you were going to say something to that.
Army has historically been cautious about making those aggressive moves, unless there's a clear contender, really it just helps avoid like depletion of our resources at the end of the day,
right?
To me, I think we need to focus more on our long term overall. I think that being like short, I guess like short-sighted or whatever you want to call it, focusing on like a playoff push or whatever. And I guess sometimes there's like, it's tempting, it's like, oh, we're right there. We might get might get in potentially, we're on the cusp. But I think you really need to just focus on preserving those future assets and just continue developing the younger core, I just think that's really, especially if we're in that retooling phase, and I think that we need to look at the long term. Like I said, it's more about the long term development more than anything. So and knowing, and like I said, knowing Army, I don't see us really making any moves. Being buyers, I really don't, and I have to agree that we shouldn't.
Now
unless there's something like you said, there's no reason to sacrifice a draft pick for a prospect, for something that for something short term. There's just not. I mean, unless there's some, like you said, unless there's some big name out there that we can acquire, but if not, then we're just throwing it away for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wouldn't be buying rentals, but I could see Armstrong try to move their timeline up by like a consolidation trade of some of their maybe better prospects in the minors for somebody who's really good right now. I could see that kind of thing, him going for that. I don't know if there's a team out there that would be looking to make a trade like that with the Blues, but that's the kind of trade I could see them making if they trade for a player. So it'd be like, basically one of the most valuable kinds of players the most valuable kind of player that exists in the league. So that's why, it would be like, oh, are you going to trade like what about Pedersen, right? Who would they trade? Who would you give up for Pedersen? If you even want him? Guys.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I was actually trying to feed the dogs. I completely forgot I needed to get Gretzky his medicine. So I heard you, but I wasn't able to get back to the mic. So
Okay.
we'll start there. We'll so hold on, give me a second. I'll get back to you on that, or I'll read us. Or okay, I'm just gonna cut there. That's for
Just
me.
answer my
And
question. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're starting back up. 3, 2. Yeah, OJ, that's a good point. Pedersen is a good. I don't know though. Like, I don't know what what is his trade value right now? And that I think is what we've been talking about. Like, but Army's really good at being able to assess stuff like that. You know what I mean? To be
Yeah.
able to get a good deal. And I also just don't know what the trade market is because it's not like big name players are getting like really talked about and stuff like that. I mean, we'll see. Maybe the trade deadline is like March, right? Like March 7th or something like that. So we got plenty of time before that, and so maybe it starts heating up a little bit more in February, and be like, hey, you know what, this player might be available or this player might be on the trade block or whatever. We just don't know. We don't know at this point in time, but I don't see this team adding any assets if we don't know if we're even going to make the playoffs or not. I mean, it's not like we're tanking, so we don't need to get rid of okay, we need to make room for younger talent that we're going to be able to pick up in the draft, right? And it's not like we're like clear Stanley Cup contenders to be like, okay, if we make a move for a veteran or two, that really solidifies our chances of getting there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're just kind of stuck in that ambiguity of being a 500 team, honestly. So,
well, my point was that Pedersen is supposedly on the trade block with Vancouver because he doesn't get along with Jim Miller.
Yeah.
But he's an incredible player, very talented.
Correct.
The kind of talent that any team would want to add. He's only 26 years old. He's right in that range of ages that Armstrong said he was interested in. Like literally the only downside is his salary is quite high, 10.25 mil. So that might be steep. But there's also been a lot of news about the cap going up to I shouldn't say news. It's rumors that the cap is going up to 97 million or something. It's supposed to go up quite a bit, supposedly. So if GMs know more about that and they know it's going up, that contract isn't that bad. So really, to me, if you could swing it where you trade a couple high-end prospects or a high-end prospect plus to get Pedersen on your team, how do you not? I feel like that's something that would make sense to do for the Blues because, like I say, it would be pushing their timeline up essentially, right? Rather than waiting for your prospects to develop, you add Pedersen. Now all of a sudden you look like much more of a legit contender, right?
Yeah, and see, that's a very good point, OJ, because what people don't seem to realize what happens in for free agency, and this is in every single sport. If you have big name players, especially like younger talent and stuff like that, and people that can move the needle, as a free agent, you may take less money to go there, especially if your goal is to win a championship. Like if a lot of to me, there are 3 different types of players in all sports. One is people that are in it for the money, and so they will take essentially the highest bidder, right? 2, they're in it for the legacy, so they'll go to the spot that's going to be able to give them the best chance of winning a championship. And 3, the people that are in it for the loyalty side of things. So again, they'll stick with the same city, even though they might not get necessarily the best part. Kind of like what Patty did when he joined the Blues and when we won the Cup, right? I mean, he did it to obviously be closer home, to be next to his son and stuff like that, right? So, you know, the people that are chasing those rings and stuff like that, if you have a really good core group, why wouldn't you want to throw your name into that? Why wouldn't you want to be associated with higher talent and stuff like that? It makes your job easier, but you also feel like you have the ability to do it, and you might take less money to go to that city. You know what I mean? You might take less money to be a part of that team if you feel like you're going to get a ring at the end of it. So, like, that's a good idea. That's a very good thought process. Because if you're able to get, Pedersen, would you
Well,
would that be able to go on?
Let me tell you his contract too, because I think he just signed it this year. So it's like 10 and a quarter AAV for like 8 years starting this year. And he's 26. So that would take him through 34. Like that's with the cap going up. If it goes up precipitously, like that actually might be a pretty good contract for his production. Like,
And you can always restructure too.
Yeah. Like to me, the only question is the character. Why? Like
Yeah.
he's got this issue with JT Miller. Is he going to be a problem in our locker room? But other than that, I think it'd be just a no-brainer to try and trade for him. You know?
And that was another point that I was like gonna bring up, but you got me thinking of a different like tangent there. No, you're good. Especially with hockey, like if you have a cancer in the locker room, it's really hard to come back from that. He could be the best player on the planet, but hockey, above all else, is not a game where one guy can literally just transform and it's going to be able to win you a championship. He can win you games, but he's not going to win you a championship. Like basketball is the worst about it because like you can have one superstar on it, but there's only 5 men on the court, over 10 total, right? But like that one guy can transcend you and win you a championship. Baseball, not one guy could do it, but they could definitely heavily influence it. Football, I believe, is less so than baseball, but definitely can do it. I mean, we've seen, and I know you don't want to talk NHL, but Adam and I are consistently watching Patrick Mahomes and the crazy fucking shit he can do to elevate the Chiefs, right? But in hockey, your best players are on for 30 seconds at a time. You know what I mean? Like throughout the game, and in situations where they can score power play goals and stuff like that, they can win you a game or two, but they definitely cannot do it by themselves. And so if you got a guy that really thinks very, very, very highly of himself and like is more above than like I'm a professional and have that kind of like swagger, and they believe that they're God's gift to the earth, so to speak, it's really hard, really, really hard to get past that because they will not look to pass. They don't look to develop anything except give me the puck. I'm going to go and shoot. You know what I mean?
Well, plus it destroys your team morale because they don't.
Correct.
If you're talking the guy you're talking about, like they show up late to practice and all this kind of shit because they know what are you going to do? Fire me? Like
yeah, exactly. Like I am your team, so to speak, right? I am the superstar in this team. What are you going to do about it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then that definitely bleeds over to other guys where they're like, well, if he's going to do it, then I'm not going to take it as seriously either. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they'd have to know, but I just like if you think about the Blues center depth at that point, especially once Dvorsky comes up, like boy.
Yeah, but I think
you don't trade it.
It's an interesting thought experiment, but the biggest thing about that comes down to like how much is going to cost you because like the thing is Vancouver knows that he's an asset. So they're going to be going after it, probably looking for maybe 2 first rounders for him because he's also, as you said, relatively young. So
you're absolutely right. That's what you would have to trade good stuff. And that's what I meant with a consolidation trade because the Blues have they have several pretty good prospects that if you packaged a couple of them, maybe you could swing that trade and it might be worth doing, So
being interesting to see what happens, right? But let's go ahead and transition here to the next segment here. We're going to be talking a little bit about STL Sport in general and going from there. So as we talked about earlier in the podcast here, it is a new year. It is 2025 now officially. Although it's been that way for a fortnight almost, right? Or a little over a fortnight, as I should say. Let's talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions, right? So I wanted to do something a little different and have us have a New Year's resolution for a sports team within St. Louis, whether it could be, really anything. But what is the New Year's resolution goal that we have for a St. Louis team in the year of 2025? Do either of you guys want to start, or do you guys want me to start? I don't care.
I'll
take it.
Or go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going
go
to say
ahead.
mine is for the St. Louis Cardinals, and it's, dear God, get your player development back on track. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you took that one. I almost went that direction, and I'm so glad
here.
I didn't. I went completely different because I thought that one was rather obvious.
Yeah. It's the one that sticks in my mind the most because I think Doug Armstrong's doing a really good job digging the Blues out of the hole they were in already. So that's less pressing to me.
For sure.
Adam, you want to go ahead and go?
For me, I wanted to change it up a little bit because we do talk about the Cardinals and we talk about the Blues a lot. One thing we haven't talked about in a minute is City SC.
No way. That's where I went too.
Did you really?
Yeah, but it's all good. I got another one. Just in preparation, I had another one ready.
That's okay. My thing is because looking at the last season, our team conceded 57 goals. So what does that tell you? We need to strengthen our defensive lineup. Now, I know we've had a couple of additions recently from what I've seen, but we definitely need to focus on that more than anything. Well, I think defensive line and midfield creativity for sure. I know that they've been having a lot of focus, but those things we definitely need to work on enhancing before this new season kicks off for sure. Because we had a very lackluster year, and we can definitely say that I think our defensive lineup definitely needs some serious improvements. And what did you have? I'm curious now about City SC. What you had in mind?
I will go ahead and utilize it. So, and I will go back to the Cardinals real quick because this one's also very close to it. Spend fucking money, Cardinals.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways,
of course.
So that was the one that I felt like was on the tip of everybody's tongue, but
Yeah, I know.
But this is kind of on the same wavelength of what I just said. How about City SC showing that we are quote unquote a soccer town, that soccer is the biggest sport in St. Louis, and go and get one of these big time players that are coming over from Europe, like a Neymar. You have Chicago Fire doing it right now. They're pursuing Neymar. Why the hell wouldn't you? You have more money and more resources right now in your team. Why wouldn't you? Go after a big name.
You got a fairly excited fan base right now too. So grab their attention while you got it.
As we've seen, with Miami, with LAFC, though you land one big player, and all of a sudden, all these other ones start gravitating towards those teams. So that's what you need to do. You need to grab a big player because it's like a black hole, and they're going to start sucking up all this other talent to come join your team. This is the time to do it if you're going to do it, because if they go to another big market, this is going to be just another goddamn MLB, but using your feet instead of your hands.
Yep, they're all going to the Dodgers. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I agree. Well, that's good. I'm glad we talked about something other than the Cardinals for a minute. As much as we sit here and bitch about the Cardinals, but there's some other areas.
Well, to get back to their defense as well.
Yeah.
This Melberg guy supposedly is going to play. He prefers a different style or different formation than what we played last couple of years. So I wonder how much that might take care of some of it. But I don't.
He was a captain for Sweden, right?
Yeah. He was a pretty good player. He played for some big team in the EPL. It wasn't Arsenal. It was. I don't think it was.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see. His
Crystal Palace, I think, maybe
wealth of experience and his approach, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. They absolutely need to improve their backline play. I think that they didn't have the backline to play the style they wanted to play the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think they
And we
need
also were
dudes
plagued with
a
injuries
lot
too.
more speed.
So
Yeah.
There's that, but I just think they didn't have enough speed. I think that was their big problem because they wanted to play with a high back line, but most of their guys weren't fast enough to really defend that way. So they got burned all the time. But
yeah. There
Hmm.
you go.
Well,
So
I like
there's
the
our
New Year's
year.
resolution, gents. Yeah.
sweet.
All righty, let's get to the next one here before we head to our sign off. So we're gonna play a game called Franchise, Sign, and Cut. So this is very similar to a game. A game that we played earlier here. It's very similar to Kill Fuck Mary or Kill whatever. I was trying to say like a PC way of saying it, but everyone knows the
Well,
game is Kill
we
Fuck
don't
Mary.
do PC here. Sorry. So
Yeah,
Woulda,
fuck
coulda.
Chicago. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, so that's what this is. So you have the franchise that would be equivocal of Mary. Sign would be the equivocal of taken home for one night stand kind of thing. So you're going to sign them for 1 year, and then cut would be the same thing as kill. So we have 3 players or people of interest, and we will be rolling with the franchise, sign, and cut. We each have one for the others to react. OJ, you went first last time. Adam, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'm going to go first because I really want to throw a wrench in things. Because typically, the way that we've done this has always been like 3 really good players, and it's always like, oh, this is hard. I wanted to take a slightly different approach this time.
Yeah, same here. I took a different approach too.
Did you really? Damn
yeah.
it.
Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got, though.
All right. So I'm talking Blues here, and I've got 3 players here that I want to talk about. Perpinchenko, Nick Leddy, and Scandella. All three players currently with, I think if I look at their stats here, I think Scandella on the plus minus is like minus 12 in his current rating. Nicoletti is minus 10 and Torpenchenko minus 8. So there you go. Of those 3,
Again, I'm just kidding.
Franchise, sign, and cut. Torpenchenko, Leddy, and Scandella.
Scandeezy.
Like,
I could go if you want.
Yeah, go ahead and go.
I wanted to make a little bit different challenge, so that's all.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. So is this currently or peak?
Let's currently.
Oh well, I'm cutting Scandella all day, every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then let's see. I signed Leddy, marry Torpenchenko because Leddy's going to be broken
that's
down.
Exactly what
That's
I
exactly
said.
what I have.
Oh
that's exactly what I have
exactly
too.
what
Yeah.
I said. You definitely
franchise.
That's funny. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, because like when you like rolled it out and immediately I'm like, yeah, this is like to me kind of a no-brainer, but it just is a bad situation.
It's a bad situation. It makes you squirm, I'm like, that's why I wanted to make, everybody kind of squirm in this situation. So.
Oh, okay, fine. Then I'll go next because if you want to squirm, I'm going to get this to you, okay?
Oh, no. What have I started?
Yeah. So this is for not Blues. It's not a specific sport. This is just, let's say it's for your kickball team, okay? It's for your kickball franchise. The 3 players I have for you, gentlemen: Tom Brady, Brad Marchand, or Brent Seabrook, the guy that hit David Backus and said "wakey wakey," although he didn't say it, but he was the one that had a dirty hit on David Backus. The cheater. Yeah, it doesn't matter. One of you guys go. The cheater, the rat, or the asshole.
I'm going to franchise Tom Brady, even though he's a fucking cheater, but at least I'll win.
Yeah.
I will sign Seabrook, even though he's an asshole, and fuck that rat. I'm going to flush him down into the sewer where he belongs.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you, OJ?
All right, let's see. So, cut Seabrook. He's the one I hate the most, probably.
Damn. All right. Interesting.
Uh,
No, I can't wait to see which one you franchise. Are you
It's
really
so
going to
hard.
franchise
Oh.
Brad Marchand? I know how
Oh,
much you hate
God.
Tom Brady.
now I'm thinking
So
about
I'm
taking it.
saying-
So I'm saying now I'm thinking about taking it.
franchising Brad Marchand. Holy shit!
Oh, I would franchise Brad Marchand absolutely over
Hmm.
Tom Brady, the
God.
cheater, or Brent Seabrook. Because I don't think Brad
Right.
Marchand injured any of our dudes.
He just licked them.
He did. Yeah, he just licked their face.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why if you marry, fuck, kill, you marry him because you know he likes licking dudes. Like,
Oh my God. Wow.
He likes using them. He does know how to use the tongue.
yeah,
Man,
exactly.
get a lot of tongue action there with him.
Yeah, but yeah,
We know he's got a
dude,
sensitive side because he likes crying on the ice too. You
Oh,
know?
that's true. Yeah. I love how this just turned into a giant roast. of
Yeah,
Marchand.
what the fuck? It just
And yet you're about to franchise the dude. Just saying.
Yeah, because I mean, Tom Brady stole a Super Bowl from the Rams by being a cheater.
Yes, he did.
Although you
Yes, he
could
did.
argue that was more Bill Belichick, at least orchestrating.
I should have
it.
put Bill
I would-
Belichick in here.
I-
Damn it.
I blame Bill Belichick more than I blame Tom Brady. I do.
Yeah, because I don't think Tom Brady, the rookie quarterback, is out there like, "Hey, film guys."
I
Who needs you to
100%.
set up over there?
I don't.
Like,
He
I-
definitely
while I
knew
do-
about it.
I feel he was. Yeah,
Oh, he
he was
did,
an
yeah.
accomplice, but I don't think he was the mastermind.
he wasn't the ringleader, that's for sure.
Yep. He
Brent,
wasn't the
Brent
mastermind.
Seabrook taunting a dude after he just got concussed is probably about as low as you can go. So
Okay, we'll kill him.
yeah. So you're giving me a
Or
no
cut him.
wins.
Sorry,
It's
we
a
don't.
Sophie's
We don't
choice.
kill. Sorry.
It is a Sophie's choice, and that's why I wanted to put it down there. Damn it, I should have put Bill Belichick in instead of Brent Seabrook, but I'm glad that you have an issue against Brent Seabrook. The funny thing is, when I started writing this out, I go, Tom Brady, Brad Marchand. I'm like, who's the third one? I'm like, oh, I know this is going to fuck with OJ because he hates Brent Seabrook. So I'm like,
I sure
perfect.
do. I sure do. So there,
So how
there
about
you
Right.
have it.
So there you
Yeah.
go.
So I have franchising Tom as well because, yes, he's a cheating asshole, but I know that he'll at least win it, by deflating the ball.
Well, yeah, you're gonna
Um,
win. You may be a cheater, but at least you'll fucking win.
Yeah, I will
But those
sign.
wins are hollow.
Yeah, as hollow as the ball. Hello.
Hello!
Anyways, I will sign Brent Seabrook for the sole purpose of going out and injuring the best player on the other team. It just
a Nazim Kadri, if you will.
yeah, it almost put Kadri on here too. And I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna
Oh
do it.
yeah.
No way. I almost did, but I'm like,
start
nah.
shouting that. That's the name of the play. Kadri, Kadri, Kadri. Just
Exactly right. Sweep the leg, Johnny. Oh man. But yeah, and then I'm killing the fucking rat. Like fuck Brad Marchand. So yes. Fuck Brad
All right.
Marchand.
Oh,
I hope you're listening, Brad. Piece of
I
shit.
hope you're crying.
God.
Anyways, all right, OJ, you're
I'm
up.
gonna lick your tears, you creep.
All right. I'm gonna try and bring it back to more normalcy. So
It's impossible.
this
to do
one
on
may
this
be a little
podcast, just saying.
easier.
I like
but-
how we took it and twisted this all around, Josh.
Oh man. So I'm gonna go with the Blues' 3 big acquisitions this year, which is Broberg, Holloway, Montgomery. And that
God damn.
I'm not sure if that's gonna be too hard or easy, but go ahead.
No, I mean, all right. So I'll. All right. So I am definitely cutting Montgomery because, like, I like what Holloway and Broberg give me.
Yeah.
So I'm cutting Montgomery for sure. But man, which one of those do I want to franchise, and which one do I want to have for 1 year? I gotta franchise Broberg, I think, and then Holloway.
Mhm.
I would take a flyer, or like I would pray that he doesn't turn into be like a complete bona fide superstar, right? That's kind of what my thought process is.
Yep. I'm aligned with that. I was
Plus, I think that Broberg can give honestly, like if I'm thinking about it, like as a GM, I think Broberg can give me more like it's harder to come by a really good defenseman that can move the puck comparatively to having a really good winger. You know what I mean? So
and we need that right now more than anything. Right now.
So that's kind of like my thought.
We need a young guy. He's like 23. He's a good defenseman. I think that he's got strong skating ability. I think that he would be a valuable long-term asset for sure.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that. And sign Holloway for a year. I'm not Montgomery. Sorry, dude.
See, that's
what about
tough
you?
For me.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, that's what's tough for me is because I see Montgomery. Like, they say coaches don't really matter that much, but like the dude has flipped their shit around. I don't know. Like, is that a force multiplying effect then? I mean, Tyler Tucker is starting to have decent games. I mean,
Tyler Tucker is
wow. I was going to say, isn't Tyler? I was going to say, what? Isn't he still playing in Springfield or no? Or is he actually back up?
No, he's been playing the last several games.
Oh, yeah, I hasn't even been paying attention.
I think he's been playing like at least the last 10. I think.
He's a third pair. He's on the bottom pair with Suter.
Gotcha.
They're actually.
I knew he was down in Springfield for a while. I wasn't sure, but he was definitely he was one of those guys that I should have put on my list as well.
So, I'm gonna. God, it sucks. It is a Sophie's choice. Also, this was a good one. Now that I'm thinking about it, so I will. Fuck.
Now that I put myself in this predicament,
I will have to. I'm gonna do it partially for the sake of being different, but also because. So I'm gonna cut Broberg because as much as I love him, I think Montgomery makes the rest of the team better. And
I can see that.
I'm gonna franchise Holloway because I think he might turn into like a Nathan McKinnon type. Like, he has that kind of skill, I think, just from some of the stick handling and stuff I've seen him do. And he's like 23. So like when he's 25, that dude might be like legitimate superstar kind of level. So that's why it's a lot of projection, but that's how I wanted to go with it.
You're saying when he grows up, he's going to be a good superstar? Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. When he grows up, he's going to be amazing.
Right. When I grow up. All right. Fun times. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for those. That's a lot of fun. We will definitely have to keep doing that because that was awesome. Back to you. Welcome. Anyways, let's go ahead and head to our sign off here. Adam, would you like to tell the good listeners how they can interact with the show, ask questions, or ask for specific content?
Yes, they would check us out on facebook.com/the hometown losers, LOUSERS, or check us out on x.com/hometown losers. Like Josh said, please give us a like, a listen, and specifically a comment. We would love to hear from you. We want to hear your questions, and we would love to hear from you in general. So how are you liking the show? Hopefully everybody's glad that we're back and hopefully enjoying these games. I know I am. Hopefully everybody else is as well.
Yeah, the cringe of all cringe when you're having to decide on who to franchise when it's three hated people in St. Louis floor. Anyways, OJ, would you like to tell the good listeners on what the game of the week is?
Yes. The game of the week is going to be Saturday Blues versus Utah at 8 p.m. The Blues continue their push for a wild card spot, and I would love to see them grab one. So
that'd be awesome.
That's the game of the week.
Game of the week. All right. Well, thanks so much for that, OJ. And I would like now to toss things over to Josh for this week's
Stat Flash.
Over to you, Josh, for the first one of hopefully many in the coming year.
Yes. I got two of them for you tonight. By the way, it is very weird to hear St. Louis versus Utah when you're talking about hockey now, right? Like I keep hearing it like on the radio. It's just like so odd. Yeah, like it took me a minute. It
Can we
took me
talk
a
about how
bit-
lame their fucking name is? Like, come on, dude.
Well, it was like the Cleveland Guardians. They were just.
That's lame. At least it's something. It's not just a
It was so
hockey
weird
team.
at first, though. Like I couldn't get used to it. It's like Washington.
I still
Whenever they weren't
not.
the
It
Redskins,
doesn't-
it was weird for a while for me.
Guardians and Commanders are terrible fucking names. I'm sorry. It just
They're
is.
weird. It's just weird. I can't get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I hate those names, but I hate not even trying more. So, although I guess
So
you
it's
gotta
like to me,
try.
it was like staring you in the face. Like, why isn't it named Yeti? Like, wasn't that the original? Like, it
There's
doesn't
people
matter.
like, oh, that sounds like a minor league team. Like, that's an OHL
guess.
team. Like,
I'm
probably
sure though.
fair
I mean,
criticism.
I'm assuming they're going to be like Washington, and they're going to officially name it eventually. But I don't know why you
Yeah.
wouldn't just name it now.
Just
So,
call them the
maybe-
Utah Mormons and be done with it.
Yeah.
be done.
The Joseph Smiths. The fighting
The
Joseph Smiths.
Smith. And the Joseph Smith and the Fighting Golden Tablets.
Dum 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 dum
Dum,
dum.
dum, 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 dum.
Yeah, like, you know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then what was his name? Oh, his wife's name, when she's just like, oh, okay, show us. See, that's her. Smart.
Yeah. Smart.
Oh my god, Trey Parker, Matt Stone. Okay, anyway, let's get to. God, it's awesome. All right, let's get to the stat blast here. So I got two kind of like, they're not necessarily stats, but they are really, really, really weird out of here. Sports, I guess, factoids. In the state of Mississippi, it was illegal to play soccer up until the year 1991. Soccer was banned in the state of Mississippi until 1991. And that
Really?
means
Wow.
high school, grade school, college, they literally could not play the game of soccer in Mississippi
Damn.
until
why
1991
were they
when it
haters?
was passed to the state senate and they overturned it.
Wonder why they were such haters of soccer.
I have no idea. It's such
That's
a
a great
random
question.
thing to like,
Crazy.
like, I don't know. And it's not like an
It is-
antiquated law because it got passed like 4 times up until it finally got appealed in 1991.
Are they saying it's like a cultural
A
like
gateway
drug?
sport.
Yeah,
like
gateway-
it's a gateway sport.
When did they put that law into effect?
91 apparently.
No,
that's when they
no.
repealed
Or no, that's what it was
Yeah.
banned up until. Yeah. So I guess
I
from a
don't
long time ago.
know. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know when it actually got put in place, but I
Well.
did like read into it. In the small amount of research that I did for it when I saw that, I'm like, there's no way this is true, and I looked it up. I'm like, holy fuck, it is. But apparently, like it passed in '89 to like keep it illegal. So I'm just like, were people just like, fuck this?
I
system or
hate
something?
soccer this much.
Yeah, like
Fuck
yeah,
this
exactly.
bullshit. And there's no
Yeah.
tackling in this sport.
Hey,
God.
something just random.
That's
Alrighty.
crazy.
And the next one. This is very weird, and I cannot believe this is true, but it is. So, in the game of hockey, we all know you play with a puck, right? Well, they've gone through many, many, many prototypes throughout the years. However, the first prototype of the puck was made out of frozen cow shit.
Nice.
I sw-
Frozen
That
cow.
sounds about
shit.
right.
Wow.
yeah, like
Knowing what I know
I-
about Canada.
yeah,
Oh wow.
that's yeah.
I mean, I can
The roots
understand
of
like
hockey
maybe
are
they use like
extremely rough and tumble.
something else, like a ball. Or I mean, obviously, I was thinking like something
They
something
used
like
what
that.
They had. They used what they had.
They use cow shit.
You're in
They
the
just
middle
said-
of uncivilized
It all started-
Alberta.
It all started because some kid had a stick in his hand and he just like was walking through a field and flung some cow shit. And
See, that's one thing. Is like I wanted to like see him like go up and be like, "All right, we need to get a puck here or something. We need to do something on the ice here." Oh, look at the cow. Why don't you pitter patter? Let's get at her. You know what I mean? What the fuck happened? Like, how did
It's
you just
pretty
say,
wild.
"Hey, we have this frozen disc of shit. Let's play hockey. Let's make a sport."
let's play
out
a
of it."
game with this. Yeah.
I
I guess
mean,
when you're in Canada, there's nothing else going on. So why not?
people used cow patties for stuff in the olden days all the time. I'm not exactly
Yeah,
sure
I
when
know.
hockey was invented, actually. So
That,
mean,
that
yeah,
could be a
uh,
stat blast. When was hockey invented?
yeah, like the first
Uh,
official.
1875. The modern sport of hockey was
No.
developed in
Yeah, I'm about to say,
1875.
it was definitely developed well before 75 or
Okay.
1800s.
It depends what you
played
consider
4,000
hockey.
years ago.
No.
Apparently,
not.
one of the most crude form of the sport was played in Egypt some 4,000 years ago.
Oh, okay. So are we calling it hockey? They didn't have ice in Egypt. Get out of here.
Well, they don't have ice in Florida yet. We're gonna have the Winter Classic down there next year.
You know what? That's true. And we're gonna have the
Yeah.
that other outdoor event in Tampa, the other event that they do, the stadium.
Oh, by the way, so I gotta tell you, this is fucking hilarious though, because when I just talked about it earlier in this podcast, when I was talking to Kristen, who used to live in Florida at one point in time, and we were talking about the Winter Classic, and she's like, "Well, it can only be held in certain places." I'm like, "Not really," and like, she's like, "Yeah, because it's not cold enough." I'm like, "They had one in Dallas." She's like,
Yep.
"How?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "They were
Modern
able to make it."
technology.
They maybe I'm like they were able to make it work with the technology you have. She goes, "Well, they'll never have one in Florida."
And then they did.
Literally
Boom.
announced like 2 days later.
And they literally are
Like,
having
oh
it.
man, you
They're
breathed that
having it
into
in Miami,
existence.
and they said that they literally are going to do that so that way they can use the retractable roof if they have to. So I'm like, whatever, dude.
They said it couldn't be done. I mean, they've already had one. In
I'm sorry,
fucking
but
LA.
But I'm like, if you're gonna do that where it's a retractable roof and you're gonna like close the roof, like then it's just
That
an
doesn't
indoor
count.
hockey event. It doesn't
That
matter.
doesn't count. Yeah, I
It doesn't
agree.
count.
It doesn't, yeah.
It needs
And
to
what
be
are you
like,
gonna
it's
do?
just
You're
an
gonna be
indoor
like,
hockey
hey, we
event.
have
It's freaking
60,000 fans out there, but they all have to bring like portable fans to blow on the ice to keep it cold.
Yeah. Well, remember in Dallas though, they did have a lot of problems with the ice originally.
Yeah, they did. 100%
Right before the
they
game,
did.
I remember that they were struggling with it because it was sloshy and messy.
So Jim, one of the guys that I know that works at Enterprise and he maintains the ice and stuff like that, they called him and said, "Hey, would you want to come down here and help us out with this when the Winter Classic was in Dallas?"
I tell him,
He
hell
goes,
no.
"Fuck no." He's like, "Hell no." He's like, "I know
No,
it's gonna be a
you
shit
want me
show.
to
I'm
do
not
the
gonna pay for
impossible.
that." And he's like, "I'm not
You
gonna
want
pay
to
for
freaking
that.
build a
No
snowman
way."
in the desert. Good,
Yeah.
piss off. Yeah.
That's what I said. So, like the next year, as you said, Adam, it's going to be in L.A. Round. They're going to have an ice rink.
Why don't they
ice
have
rink
right
right
with
around
their
all the wildfires?
Yeah.
Exactly.
No kidding.
Like,
Good grief. Why don't you have it in Vegas too while you're at it in July?
yeah, exactly.
Good grief. It's like they're just going to purposely take it and put it in places that are just the most obscure places you could potentially play hockey.
Now,
Let's
Winter
play
Classic
hockey.
in the Sahara.
Yeah, it's like let's
There's
play
actually an
hockey on the
interesting
moon.
idea.
You know?
From what I've heard, the desert actually gets really cold at night.
Oh, there you
I don't
go.
know if
Have a
it's
night
every
game
desert or
in the
what.
desert.
In
Yeah, I don't
the
think it's
middle of the desert. That would be
The
sick.
middle of the desert.
Make it
Truly.
like a fucking
Nah,
Like a-
festival.
Yeah, like the Burning Man festival or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like
People
Burning
would pay
Man-
a fuck ton of money to go to that.
Yeah, there you go. So have Burning Man and the Winter Classic meet up all at once. Why not?
Might not be. a
That's
bad
what it'd be
idea.
like. Hey,
Okay,
we're gonna have Lollapalooza followed by Burning Man, and then the cap's gonna be the Winter Classic.
Hey, if you can
Telling
make
me
money
people
at it,
didn't watch
tell
that?
Gary Bettman. He'll sign off on it in a heartbeat.
Dude, that would be an event. You want an event? That would be an event.
They'll all be
People would
tripping
tune into
balls
that.
and playing hockey with cow dung. There you go. What an event.
God.
God.
It could work though. I really do think people would love to watch that. I don't know how much it would take though.
Why don't we,
Or
while
too
we're
much.
at it, why don't we like make the whole rink, listen to the middle of the desert, there won't be any lights, like make it all like, I don't know, glow in the dark or something too while you're at
Yeah.
it. Watch-
Okay,
You got to
so-
schedule it for a full moon. And
Yeah,
you wait till the moon's
Yeah.
high overhead.
freaking glow in the dark
On
for
a
sure.
night
Like black light
without
hot.
cloud
But make
cover.
it like black light hockey or something on top of it. Cool.
Oh, that would,
so dangerous.
people would die.
That's awesome.
That's what we need, man. We need people. And like they could have the players could have like fluorescent looking, sweaters on.
And you put around the edge of the puck, you put some glow lights or something,
Yeah,
so they can
That's
see
like
it
glow
flying
stick.
at their face in the dark.
right. And then it'll have like chasers on it, so when it'll be awesome.
When it scores, it just shoots a bunch of lasers out everywhere. When it comes to the net.
Why is this turning into Rocket League? We have goal explosions. Calm down.
Yes.
Jay.
Okay,
No,
wow.
I'm talking about the puck. It has a bunch of like lights in it that
Lasers
shoot out.
Shoot out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a rave type thing.
Yeah. Since we're doing
Yeah,
this,
so you
since we're doing this,
you'd be like,
Yeah. And that goes on for like a minute, and then you start over at center ice. Like,
there you go.
Let's go.
Yeah. Since this is going to be in conjunction with Burning Man, you kind of, or Lollapalooza or whatever.
Exactly. Just trying to add to that, right? I would love for them to play in like Nova Scotia and like a giant ass pond.
That's so northern.
I know Nova Scotia. Eh? I would love to see them play out there in like one of the giant ass frozen lakes they have, and not do a Winter Classic, but do a Rumble where you have like 4 goals and 4 teams trying to score on each other at the same time. Like that would be epic.
You
know what I mean?
That would be interesting.
That would be a lot of fun to fucking watch.
You're gonna have to start that in the semi-pros probably. That's some banana ball shit.
Right, we got a beta test.
There you go.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, it's like I want it to be a reality. It would be interesting, but then all these teams are gonna be like, no, can't have our players getting hurt.
Yeah.
So got to win Stanley Cups.
All right, guys. Well, it was definitely fun getting back to the podcast here and having a bunch of silly suggestions for the NHL and the like. So, anyways, to the listeners, again, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging in there with us here, and welcome to the new year for the Hometown Losers podcast. Again, if you would like to see any specific content, please reach out to us in our socials. We are very, very, let's just say, single and ready to mingle on these socials. That sounded very weird. I don't really.
Wow.
Okay.
It's just on a dating site.
I know. I don't know why. I'm just in like in a really goofy, like very tired mood. So I apologize to listeners, to you guys, and to whomever. But anyways, let's just go ahead.
You need to apologize. Oh man.
Oh God. All right, guys. Until next time, we will catch you here on the Hometown Losers podcast. Have a great night, everybody.
Hey, this is Josh. Thanks for checking out and tuning in to the Hometown Losers podcast. Check us out next week as we continue our silliness and talk a little bit about the St. Louis sports scene. Catch you next week.